Merry Christmas, guys, one and all, and welcome to the Woke is Broke podcast. Today is our 25th episode and the last episode of the year of 2021. We're wrapping up with season 2 today, and honestly, I'm pretty excited. It's been a pretty interesting year. You know, looking at what's happened since starting up the channel and whatnot. We've gotten over 500 subscribers. We've dropped 75 videos. We've released 25 episodes of the main podcast. About a dozen righty-tighty lefty segments, several shameless jokes and comedy sketches, 2 movie reviews, and a partridge in a pear tree, I guess. So no, it's been I think it's been pretty good. And honestly, if I had any requests for you guys, the watchers, the listeners, it would be just to get your feedback on what you've thought of the show so far since we started back in Maine. Any comments, any criticism, stuff that you like, stuff that you don't like, things that you want to see more of. Please, any feedback is good feedback at this point. I certainly hope that you've been enjoying the ride so far, and I'm looking forward to kicking off season 3 in 2022. But in any event, let's get down to the news today. So the Secret Service announced that it's continuing to launch several investigations into fraud around COVID relief money. They've already confiscated $1.2 billion in funds because apparently COVID fraud was enormous. Apparently, when you set up a system in which there are no real checks and balances, when people can just, get $600 from the U.S. government in addition to unemployment every single week, with the only parameters being that you click a box that says, yes, my hours were reduced due to COVID, or yes, I lost my job due to COVID, with absolutely no, again, checks, investigations, or evidence required to show any of that, right? It turns out that kind of system is ripe for criminals to just fraudulently take money from the U.S. government, meaning taking money from the U.S. taxpayer. Who could have seen that being bad? But they're cracking down on that and trying to get some of the money back. Good luck with that. That's all I can say. I mean, honest to God, I think at this point the damage has been done, but they're going to do what they have to do at the end of the day. Additionally, a time capsule was found in the statue of Robert E. Lee, which was taken down recently in Virginia. It's dated back to 1887, I want to say, and it has about 60 items from people of that time. And honestly, I've always been on the fence about the whole statue issue, taking statues down. I do believe that if you fail to learn history, you're destined to repeat it. I believe in that sentiment 100%. That being said, as many of you know, I come from the great state of New Hampshire, where right now we're fixing to have a white Christmas. It's actually pretty nice. But as such, I do recognize that there is one of the big differences between being from the north and then moving down south that I've noticed is that the south has a huge emphasis on heritage, tradition, in a way that in New Hampshire, up north, that we just don't have, right? You can walk into any mom and pop shop, any, old restaurant down south and find heirlooms and photos and everything going back, tracing back people's heritage, where they come from, where they've been. It's just really big down there. And it's hard for me to wrap my head around. I kind of sort of get it. And, it's why I usually it's usually why I don't have an issue with the people having the Confederate flag on their lawn or on their truck or whatever, because I can tell you for a fact that not everyone who has a Confederate flag on their yard or on their truck is trying to uphold racism or honor slavery or any shit like that. Some of them might, but most of them don't. And again, it just speaks to the kind of hemisphere that exists down south. Like I said, it's really hard to describe. It's really hard for me to wrap my head around. And as such, I understand that statues for them might mean something different than it does being, to us up north. That being said, you also have to recognize that Robert E. Lee was a very bad man. He did very bad things. He was very prominent and an important figurehead in the South prior to the Civil War, right? He was a general. He was big. He was important. And I'm sure there were very many good things that he did for the South prior to the Civil War. Do we need a statue? I don't want to say idolizing him, because that's not the point of the statue. It was meant to ensure that he wasn't forgotten. Do we need that? I don't know that we need that. That being said, are we taking it down for the right reasons? And I would say no, because the people taking down that statue are the same people taking books out of libraries and schools and are teaching children, a victimhood mentality if they're a minority and that they're evil because they're white. I don't trust the people taking down the statue, and I don't trust that their intentions for taking down that statue are good. I think that their actions and their intent are designed at rewriting and erasing history, which again goes completely against the whole point of having those statues up in the first place. Nevertheless, what's done is done. I am curious to see what's in that time capsule and be waiting to hear what's in that. But in any event, Lori Lightfoot, right, the real life feral ghoul out of Chicago, she put out a tweet saying that for the unvaccinated, your time is up. She's releasing these new strict policies meant to, and she explicitly stated it's meant to make life inconvenient and difficult for the unvaccinated. Just this totalitarian response. It's just absolutely batshit ridiculous. She's just an evil and frankly a very ugly woman. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to press to you. Let's just pretend for a second that all of the unvaccinated finally succumbed to the bullying, the threats, the taunts, and just got the vaccine. Do you really think it would be over? Do you really think the pandemic would go away? No, of course not. And when it didn't go away, do you really think the Democrats would just stop? That they would just stop? No, they need something to blame. Even if there were no unvaccinated people left in this country, it would be something else. It would be, people who don't have 2 shots, they're constituted as unvaccinated. People who don't have the boosters, they're the reason why everything is still shut down. They're the reason why we still have to lock everything down. They have to have something to blame for the pandemic not going away because they dug themselves into a hole so freaking deep they can't get out of it. They promised that they would end this. They can't end it. It's endemic at this point. It's going to remain here forever in the same way that the common flu is always among us. Okay? And they need something to blame. This idea that we can just force people to take the vaccine and then everything will go back to normal is a lie. They know it's a lie. They are always going to have some group of people to villainize to justify the evil shit that they do. There's always going to be some sort of sick rationalization in order to say, this is why you can't get back to your life. This is why your life is miserable. This is why you can't take your kids to school, go to eat at a restaurant, shop at a grocery store, not take off a mask. It is because of these people over here. They are the reason why we're doing this. That is never going to go away. Even if everybody gets vaccinated, there's always going to be another standard set. And that's the reality. And it pisses me off. It pisses me off to live in the knowledge that realistically this crap really isn't going to start going away in any sort of major way until 2024, God willing, that we have a conservative president put in place. It's really not. But I guess that's just the hands we've been dealt at this point. Not much to be done about it. But today's episode is going to be a little bit different because we're cutting the news segment short. We talk a lot about, the dark times that we live in, about the difficulties that we're all struggling with, and about the evil shit that goes on in the world. But in the spirit of Christmas, I wanted to wrap up today's episode, the last episode of the year, on a positive note, because there has been some real, genuine good that's occurred throughout this year, that is occurring. When I started this show, I talked about what I believe to be a conservative renaissance on the horizon. People, honest people, standing up, speaking up, getting involved, starting movements, starting businesses, and that has been happening all damn year. There's a lot of people who've been getting into the fight, and there's a lot of, again, real positive change that's being made right now, today. And so I just wanted to end today's note covering pretty much all the highlights of this year. So, in In terms of conservative companies being started up this year, a conservative movie company opened up, Conflict Studios. They're dedicated to picking up actors, actresses, directors, and writers who have been blacklisted from Hollywood, or at the very least have found it very difficult to find a job because of their political beliefs. They're releasing movies and TV shows geared at the older American values once embedded in shows like Family Matters, Home Improvements, other popular franchises, prior to Hollywood deciding that it's just going to completely lose its mind. Let's see. A new online marketplace titled Mammoth Nation opened up. And this website, I got to say, Mammoth Nation, this is really cool. Basically, they're designed to help conservative merchants and conservative consumers find one another. Right, so think of it basically as a catalog of conservative businesses. You want to buy your phone from a conservative company? Go to Mammoth Nation, find it. They have lists of companies conservative companies that sell cell phones. You want to buy shoes, you want to buy clothes, you want to buy cigars or wine or camping gear or anything. They have a good catalog of conservative merchants who sell all this stuff. It's actually pretty sweet. Ridgeline Research LLC, which is a Washington-based investment advisor, started up a fund basically targeted at boycotting major companies with liberal biases, basically steering investors away from woke companies, which is really neat. A new conservative college was announced this year, set to open up in Texas. They're to be called the University of Austin, and is said to be dedicated to the fearless pursuit of truth, basically removing wokeism and leftism from teaching and other political biases, and just putting an emphasis on curriculum, just putting an emphasis on education and on the facts, and on making sure that their students actually know what they're going to school for. So that's, honestly, I'm really psyched for that. We need to see more conservative colleges open up. So this is a huge move in the right direction right there. This is another cool one. Nearly every major bank in America contributes to Planned Parenthood. You might not have known that. Pretty much all of the major ones do. TD Bank, Citizens Bank, all those guys. Well, Pro-Life Bank was announced this year, and they're cutting against a different cloth. They're giving 50% of their proceeds to organizations and charities that align with quote godly principles, and they're not giving a dime to Planned Parenthood or any other causes that support abortion at all. I am really psyched for this. I think that's an excellent idea, setting up a pro-life bank. I think that, honestly, if they get it right, if the format's good, everything's secure, and which is what they're pitching, I could see that growing in a real way and drawing in all kinds of Christian and conservative support. I think that would be awesome. I'm really psyched for that finally taking off. I think it's sometime middle of next year when it's supposed to officially open up their first branches. It's going to be in Texas, I believe. But yeah, again, I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. All Seasons Press LLC was opened this year. They are a conservative publishing company, and they're aimed at being the platform for conservative authors to voice and publish their books. So that's pretty sweet. Donald Trump, he also announced that he's starting his own social media platform, Truth Social, which is going to be in direct competition with Facebook and Twitter, and that's set to be opening up next year as well. Let's see. In terms of Hollywood figures stepping out into the fray and people in the entertainment industry speaking up, there's been a lot of them this year, actually. Elon Musk, he's really jumped into the fray recently, getting into constant Twitter battles against Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Joy Reid, and other wokesters who are hitting him about, the rich paying their fair share in taxes. He's really been going after them and being vocal against wokeism and cancel culture as well. That's pretty exciting. Big-time comedian Dave Chappelle, he released a comedy special this year going after the transgender movement, not transgender individuals. He went after the movement specifically, and about cancel culture. Comedian Bill Burr, he's been rather vocal in the fight against cancel culture as well. Kid Rock, the musician, he released a new song this year criticizing wokeness as well. And a number of big-time country singers signed on to perform at the conservative conference America Fest this year. The singers included people like Home Sweet Home singer Russell Dickerson, Ray Lynn, Adam DeLake, That's what it says. God Bless the USA singer Lee Greenwood and DJ Silver also signed on. Rapper Brian Grayson tapped the iTunes chart for days with his hit song Let's Go Brandon. He actually beat out Adele. And bear in mind, Adele is a Grammy winner. She released a new song this year. This rapper beat her with Let's Go Brandon. That's freaking awesome, dude. Award-winning country singer Ray Lynn released a powerful pro-life song titled She Chose Me this year. That came out. That was pretty good. Yes, Locals, which, for those of you who don't know, Locals is a company that was started up by Dave Rubin, who is a political commentator. And he calls himself a classical Democrat. In reality, he's a modern-day conservative. But he started up this company called Locals, which is basically a platform for artists and content creators like myself to create subscription-based content for their audience, right? Basically, it's meant to be a direct competitor against Patreon. And Patreon has been known for banning conservatives from their platform. So as a YouTube creator, if I wanted to make, say, exclusive videos for you guys and, create a subscription-based content, basically you pay $3, $4 or whatever, and you get access to a whole new show over on Patreon. Patreon would ban me because I'm a conservative. They've done that to a lot of other people. Dave Rubin started up Locals so that conservatives, not just conservatives, but so everybody could go to their platform and do what Patreon was doing, but do it without being banned. Well, Locals was bought up by YouTube competitor Rumble this year, which is just a huge expansion for Rumble. That's really, really awesome. Rumble is starting to get some steam. Steven Crowder has officially jumped onto their channel after he's been banned by YouTube for the rest of the year. He's been banned on and off this year. YouTube is really going hard after Steven, and I have no doubt that come next year he will be permanently banned from YouTube, which really sucks. But again, he jumped on to Rumble, and that's going to be big for them because he has an enormous following. We're talking like 5.5 million subscribers on YouTube on his main channel alone, and then like another 1.5 million on his secondary channel. He's extraordinarily successful. So I think if he really dives deep on Rumble, it's going to be some pretty big success for Rumble as a company as such. And honestly, as somebody who enjoys his show, I watch his show on occasion. I think his show is actually better on Rumble because he's not tied down by the policies that he has to abide by on YouTube. He doesn't have to hold back his words, or he doesn't have to not report on certain things, out of fear of being banned. So I think that might be the better move for him at this point. But obviously our prayers are with him and his team and his company out there because they do great work. So let's see. Additionally, a conservative apparel and accessories company titled Bring Home Ammo printed 260,000 square feet of Let's Go Brandon wrapping paper. So that was pretty good. But I will save the best for last. The one company with the largest expansion this entire year that I've ever seen has been Ben Shapiro's company, The Daily Wire. In 1 year, they went from basically being just, your average, source of news, right, and political commentary, to being an entertainment conglomerate, right? They dropped their first movie, Run, Hide, Fight, back in January, right, which I saw. It was a pretty solid film. I enjoyed it. They started a new morning news show called Daily Wire. You get your news in 15 minutes or less every single morning without the biases, just the facts. They picked up ESPN reporter Allison Williams after she was forced out of ESPN for not taking the vaccine. And the reason she didn't take the vaccine was because she was planning on getting pregnant, starting, a family, growing her family, right? And there are a lot of restrictions when you're pregnant, what you can take, what you can't take, what you can eat, what you can't eat. And there are no longitudinal studies regarding the vaccine. She didn't want to take it out of safety for her baby, not knowing all the parameters, and they forced her out anyways. Daily Wire picked her back up, and she's going to actually be headlining a special sports series over there, which is pretty exciting. I know they're looking to expand in that so that you can watch your sports without getting all the woke propaganda crap that you see all the time on NFL and in friggin' basketball and ESPN and all this other garbage sports reporting crap. It's pretty exciting. They released a new comedy series with Adam Carolla. They started a really the first live audience conservative TV show with Candace Owens, which is basically in the style of like Oprah or Ellen, but it's actually entertaining and it's not led by people who are complete morons. Not to mention she has some pretty big interviews. Her last interview was with President Donald Trump. So I mean, she gets some pretty big names on that show. They've also picked up Gina Carano, the popular actress from the Mandalorian TV series, after she was fired by Disney for posting conservative comments on Facebook. They picked her up. They announced 2 movies that they're going to be doing with her, the first of which is coming out next year, called Terror on the Prairie, and is also going to be starring Daniel Day-Lewis's son. I'm looking forward to that. They're also releasing a new movie that's going to be coming out at the beginning of next year as well. And they have announced other plans for releasing TV shows, too. They opened up their first publishing company this year, and they're going to be publishing conservative books as well, which is, again, just really awesome. And they opened up their first investigative journalism branch at the company, and which is really, they were the ones that broke the story in Virginia. That father at the school board meetings who was painted as the domestic terrorist, right? And we need the FBI to investigate these people. They're the ones that broke the story that father, his daughter was raped in the public school system, and the school board tried to bury it. Kind of changes the aspects of the story, at least. And in my mind, that story breaking directly affected the Virginia election that occurred this year. So good on them. So they are expanding in some serious ways. Overall, we have colleges, we have movie production companies, we have publishers, we have social media companies starting up, we have online marketplaces starting up, right? You have people in Hollywood in the entertainment section stepping up, speaking up, getting involved. You have everyday Americans making a push to joining the fight, and that really is inspiring. That really is good. I mean, yes, there's no denying we are in some dark times right now. Things are difficult, and maybe they're not going to get 100% better. But there is still hope. I've been talking about this all year. I've been talking about this since starting the show, right? That your talents, your voice, it matters. You can make a difference. Because as long as you are here and you are drawing breath, you have that chance. You have that choice to do something better, to be someone better, to be the best you can, and to recognize that when you are the best that you can be, we're helping to make a world that's a little better, that's a little brighter, that's a little more hopeful for the future. And a lot of other people out there are answering that call right now. And that really is an inspiring thing. So on that hopeful note, and a slightly more positive rant than usual, I will wrap things up. I hope that you guys are having a great Christmas. I hope that you're staying safe and staying informed, of course. Again, I just thank all you guys for joining me in this ride so far. And I hope you've been enjoying it. If you could post in the comments sections, again, any thoughts, criticisms, anything you like, didn't like, want to see more of, let me know. Again, any commentary at this point is good commentary. I will catch you in 2022. I'm Joshua Stanko, signing off. We'll catch you next year.